You won't believe what just happened in court today. Wendy Osefo, once a shining star of reality TV, has just been hit with a staggering 10-year sentence, and the courtroom erupted into chaos. But the shock didn't end there. Watching from the gallery, Monique Samuel's face turned pale, her eyes wide with disbelief as she whispered under her breath, "This can't be real." The whispers in the room grew louder. Friends, fans, and insiders trying to process the magnitude of what had just unfolded. Rumors are swirling, messages are leaking, and nobody knows what Monique is really thinking. Was this reaction genuine concern, or is there more beneath the surface? The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, and one thing is certain, what happens next will change everything we thought we knew about these reality stars. Stay tuned, because the story is far from over. The courthouse was buzzing long before the trial began. Rumors had been swirling for weeks, and today, everyone wanted a glimpse of the drama that had become inevitable. Wendy Osefo, once known for her polished demeanor and commanding presence on reality TV, stepped into the room. She walked with purpose, but there was an undeniable tension in her shoulders, a tremor in her hands that only the closest insiders could notice. Whispers filled the air. "Did you see her face?" someone muttered. "She knows it's over." From the front row, Monique Samuels watched quietly, arms crossed, lips pressed tightly together. Her expression was unreadable at first, almost calculating, but then a flicker of something else crossed her face: shock, disbelief, maybe even betrayal. Behind her, fans exchanged texts, screenshots flying, speculation mounting like wildfire. The court reporter's pen scratched furiously, trying to capture every detail. As the judge entered, the room fell into a tense silence. The gavel struck once, reverberating through the marble walls, and Wendy's attorney cleared his throat nervously. "Your Honor, we are prepared to present mitigating circumstances." Wendy's eyes darted around, scanning the faces in the room. She paused briefly when she saw Monique staring back, a look that seemed to say, "I knew something like this was coming." Testimony began, and the tension ratcheted higher. A former associate of Wendy's stepped up to the stand, voice quivering. I handled some of the transactions for her. I didn't know they'd get this far, but there were discrepancies," he admitted. The words hung in the air like smoke. Wendy's face paled, a sharp intake of breath betraying her calm exterior. In the gallery, Monique shifted, whispering to a producer nearby. "I can't believe she thought she'd get away with it. 10 years. This is just the beginning." The murmurs spread. Fans on social media were already speculating, messages flooding in. Did Monique tip the court off? Wendy's empire is collapsing before our eyes. Every detail, every look, every reaction was being dissected in real time. Then came the most shocking moment so far. A set of documents, previously sealed, was presented in court. The secret transaction files everyone had been buzzing about were finally laid bare. Transfers, payments, wire logs, all pointing to a network of moves Wendy had made to cover her tracks. The room collectively gasped. Wendy's hand flew to her mouth, trying to hide the tremor. Monique's eyes widened, and she muttered under her breath, "I knew it. I knew it all along." Whispers turned into outright murmurs. "She's finished. 10 years is just the start. This could ruin everything." The weight of reality hit Wendy, her professional veneer cracking as she slumped slightly in her seat. Inside, she was fighting a storm of fear, anger, and disbelief. Her attorney leaned in, murmuring urgently, "Stay calm. We can fight some of these charges." But even his words sounded hollow against the avalanche of evidence now flooding the courtroom. Witness after witness painted the picture of betrayal and missteps. Leaked emails were read aloud, financial statements dissected, showing a chain of questionable transactions that tied Wendy directly to actions that the court deemed criminal. Monique's subtle smirk did not go unnoticed by some, and rumors began circulating. Was this more than shock? Was there an unspoken history between the two women that fueled the intensity of today's courtroom drama? Fans watching online could barely keep up. Clips of Wendy's tense expressions, Monique's reaction, the whispered asides, they were shared, reshared, dissected. Every angle added layers to the controversy, and the narrative was already spiraling. Social media exploded. Monique called it Wendy's empire crumbling. Courtroom drama of the year. By the time the first hour ended, the courtroom felt like a pressure cooker. Wendy's composure was fraying. Her eyes darted repeatedly toward Monique, then to her own attorney, then back at the judge. Each pause, each breath, each exchanged glance told a story words could not. And behind it all, the tension was palpable, the sense that today, not only was a sentence being determined, but legacies, friendships, and reputations were being shattered in real time. As the session recessed for a short break, whispers and rumors didn't stop. Everyone knew the most dramatic revelations were yet to come. Wendy Osefo's empire was unraveling. Monique Samuels had witnessed every second, and the public was waiting, hungry for the next shocking turn. Little did anyone know, what would follow after this break would push the controversy and the emotions into entirely new territory. The story wasn't over. In fact, it had only just begun. The courtroom reconvened, and the tension was almost unbearable. Every eye was fixed on Wendy Osefo as she walked back to her seat, her expression a mixture of anxiety and defiance. Whispers rippled through the gallery. Some viewers online were already live streaming, screens filling with shocked faces and frantic comments. Did you see her hands? Monique looks satisfied. This is about to get worse. The prosecutor stepped forward, holding a stack of documents that seemed to weigh as heavily as the atmosphere itself. Your Honor, he began, voice firm and unyielding, we have uncovered additional communications that shed new light on the extent of these transactions. The defendant was not acting alone, and the evidence is irrefutable. A hush fell over the courtroom. Wendy's lips pressed together, her knuckles whitening around her papers. Monique Samuels' eyes narrowed, a faint smirk playing across her face. The tension between them was palpable, a silent acknowledgement that today's events were more than just legal procedure, they were personal. The first document was read aloud, a series of internal messages between Wendy and her associates. Every word, every number, every coded phrase exposed the scale of the scheme. Transfer completed. One message read. Funds secured. Nobody will know. Another. We need to cover the tracks before Monday. The courtroom murmured, the gravity sinking in. Wendy's face turned pale, beads of sweat forming on her temple. She tried to respond to her attorney, whispering urgently, "This isn't what I agreed to." Then came a new twist. The prosecution revealed phone recordings, calls that hinted at betrayal not just by colleagues, but by those closest to Wendy. In one clip, a familiar voice whispered, "It's done. No one can trace it." Wendy trusts too easily. The words hung in the air, devastating. Wendy's jaw tightened, eyes brimming with both fear and disbelief. Monique's expression remained unreadable, but her slight nod suggested she had expected this moment, had anticipated every slip. The gallery was buzzing. Fans online reacted instantly, sharing screenshots and clips of Wendy's growing panic. The leaked DMs were circulating faster than anyone could process. She knew what she was doing. Wendy's empire is crumbling before our eyes. Monique called it weeks ago. The controversy was snowballing. Every message, every whisper, every glance amplified the drama tenfold. Wendy's defense tried to push back. Your Honor, these messages are taken out of context. There's a misunderstanding. These were business communications. Her voice, usually commanding, wavered under the intensity of the courtroom. But the evidence was overwhelming. Every transaction, every carefully hidden move was laid bare, and the jury's faces reflected shock, disbelief, and growing certainty. An anonymous insider's note was then presented, a transcript of a private conversation that Wendy had believed was secure. "We can't let this leak, or everything falls apart," the note read. 10 years would be nothing compared to the fallout. Monique's eyes flickered toward Wendy. The unspoken history, the simmering tension between them, felt like it was burning hotter with each revelation. By now, the courtroom was electric. The audience was on edge, watching every micro-expression, every sigh, every trembling hand. Wendy's composure had cracked. She could no longer hide the terror and disbelief. Her associates shifted uncomfortably, whispering among themselves, trying to mitigate the damage. But the leaks, the evidence, the betrayal, it was unstoppable. Just when it seemed the storm had peaked, the prosecution delivered the final twist for the day, a financial ledger, previously hidden, detailing every transfer Wendy had made, including payments returned, offshore accounts, and coded transactions. The gravity of it left the courtroom silent. Wendy's head dropped, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Monique's gaze never left her, a quiet yet piercing confirmation that justice, or revenge, depending on perspective, was unfolding exactly as predicted. The judge called for a brief recess, and the room erupted into whispers. The tension lingered like a heavy fog. Social media exploded, fans dissecting every angle, speculating on what this meant for Wendy, for Monique, and for the fallout that would follow. Rumors of secret deals, hidden betrayals, and impending legal moves spread like wildfire. As the courtroom emptied for a moment, Wendy's thoughts raced. She knew the next session could seal her fate, and every misstep, every leaked detail, every reaction from Monique could tip the balance irreversibly. Outside, the world was watching, judging, and waiting for the next bombshell. And everyone knew this was far from over. The story was spiraling, and the next chapter promised to be darker, more emotional, and even more explosive. Wendy Osefo secrets were unraveling, and the fallout would be unforgettable. The courtroom was suffocating with tension. Wendy Osefo sat rigidly, hands clasped tightly in her lap, the weight of every secret she had tried to hide pressing down on her. Monique Samuel sat nearby, her eyes cold, almost calculating, like she had anticipated every twist in this unfolding drama. Every whisper in the gallery, every shutter click from the press, seemed amplified, echoing off the walls like a warning. Then came the final revelation. The prosecutor held up a single envelope, almost dramatically, and the room fell silent. Inside this file, he said, is the complete transaction record. Every dollar moved, every account accessed, every name involved. It paints a picture of deliberate deception, calculated, extensive, and impossible to ignore. Wendy's hands trembled, and she could feel the color draining from her face. The murmurs in the room grew louder, fans online reacting instantly. She knew she couldn't hide it. Monique's been right all along. This is devastating. Wendy's attorney tried to intervene, voice shaky, Your Honor. These are still allegations. She was acting under advice. These transactions were legal under certain interpretations, but even he knew the impact of the revelations was undeniable. The ledger inside the envelope revealed transfers linked to shell accounts, coded payments, and funds that had been funneled back and forth in ways that no casual observer could trace. It was meticulous, clever, and damning. Monique leaned slightly forward, her expression unreadable but her satisfaction palpable. Wendy's lips quivered as she whispered, almost to herself, I never thought it would come to this. The betrayal wasn't just legal, it was personal. The people she trusted, the decisions she made, had all been exposed, laid bare in the most public and humiliating way possible. Then came the emotional climax. Wendy's voice broke as she finally addressed Monique directly. You always thought I'd fail. You waited for this moment. Monique's response was calm, measured, almost chilling. I didn't wait, Wendy. I just knew it had to happen. Truth has a way of catching up. The gallery held its collective breath. Every word between them carried years of rivalry, resentment, and silent tension now surfacing in an undeniable showdown. The shocking twist arrived when the prosecution revealed a hidden audio recording, Wendy herself confirming knowledge of every transaction, acknowledging the scheme, and discussing how she attempted to cover it. The recording played like a thunderclap, filling the courtroom with an eerie, undeniable truth. Wendy's face went pale, eyes glistening, a mixture of shame, disbelief, and fear. The room seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the next move, for any sign of defense, but none came. Fans online erupted in disbelief, dissecting every expression, every word. She's done, one wrote. Monique was right, another commented. Rumors about hidden partnerships, secret deals, and the true extent of Wendy's influence began circulating faster than anyone could verify. The fallout was immediate, relentless, and inescapable. As the day drew to a close, Wendy sat quietly, the ledger and recordings stacked beside her, evidence of her downfall. Monique remained poised, her face calm, almost distant, like a storm that had passed but left devastation in its wake. The silence in the room was deafening, the tension so thick it was almost tangible. And then, just as the gavel was about to come down, Wendy whispered to no one in particular, "This isn't over. Not yet." The words sent a chill through everyone present. It was a reminder that in this world of power, betrayal, and secrets, no revelation is ever truly the end. The story had reached its climax, but the mystery lingered. Wendy Osefo's empire was exposed, her secrets laid bare, and her rivals vindicated. Yet, the shadow of what could still happen, the unseen repercussions, and the potential twists that lay ahead ensured that this drama was far from concluded. The audience was left on edge, hearts racing, knowing that the next chapter, whatever it might be, would change everything. The courtroom chaos, the leaked transaction files, and Wendy's shattered composure. This was the moment everyone will remember. Monique's reaction, calm yet vindicating, only made the drama sharper, the betrayals darker, and the stakes higher. But even as the dust settles, questions linger. What will happen next for Wendy Osefo? Will more secrets emerge from the shadows? Who else could be involved behind the scenes? This isn't the end, it's just a turning point. In our next video, we'll dive deeper into the hidden messages, the undisclosed transfers, and the whispers of new alliances forming in the background. You don't want to miss it, because what's coming could completely change everything you thought you knew about this case. If you want to hear the exclusive leaks, the private conversations, and the shocking insider details, comment below for the next video. The story isn't over, and the next revelation could blow this wide open. Stay tuned.